Sahana bhavatu, Sahanau bhunaktu, Sahaviryan karavavahai, Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, the previous time we started with 10th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, and we reached the 4 most important verses from Bhagavad-gita, which are known as Chatur Shloki. So now we will give a little bit more time to these verses and their purports, and then we will continue with the chapter.
Okay, so we read the first verse. Krishna says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. And we spoke that, again, Krishna gives knowledge about himself. He explains that he's the origin of everything. He explains the connection between him and his energies. And he hopes that this will inspire devotion in the hearts of the non-envious persons. And in this verse directly, he says that the wise who have perfect knowledge, they surrender to him. So perfect knowledge means bhakti. Okay? Sri Prabhupada says, Buddha, one must be very well versed, at the same time completely absorbed in spiritual emotion, bhava. That means spiritual emotion, it's not sentimental, it's not based on our mental concoctions, but it is based on true knowledge. Shruti smriti puranadi pancharatra vidya akaintaki harar bhaktir utpadataiva kalpate. The devotional service, which is not based on the authority of the Shruti and the Smriti, is only disturbance in the society. So then the next verse, Krishna describes the process of devotional service. How do we call this, Mataji, Pushpanjali? The process of devotional service? What is the Sanskrit term?
From the previous class.
From the previous class. The process?
Yes. What's the Sanskrit term of the process?
Is it Abhideya?
Yes. Jai.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Very good, very good.
And how was the knowledge?
Okay.
How was the
knowledge? How was the knowledge?
The relationship.
Sambandha? Oh, no. The relationship?
Yeah,
Sambandha.
And the
okay.
go? What is the go?
And the go. Priyojana.
Yes, very nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Just, I want to mention at the end of the purport to verse 8, 10:8. Basically, the whole purport, Srila Prabhupada again and again is giving different quotes that from different shastras that prove that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. More or less, this is the whole purport. And then at the end, the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada is writing, Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says, because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all. Everything is under me. No one is above me. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. One who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master with references from the Vedic literature engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness and becomes a truly learned man. In comparison to him, All others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. Only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna conscious person should not be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized unauthorized commentaries and interpretations on Bhagavad-gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness. So basically, the conclusion of these verses, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and if one is sure that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, well, he will render service to Krishna. That's it.
And then in verse 9, Krishna describes the process of bhakti. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So we will read the commentaries of Baladevi Vibhushan and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on this verse.
And then after that, we'll go through the purport of Srila Prabhupada.
Or maybe first, let's read first Srila Prabhupada's purport, because
Okay.
they...
So, Mataji Jai Radhe, you're there?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Would you like to read?
I have to grab my stuff, my book and everything. Could someone
Okay.
else read for now?
Mataji Pushpanjali can start reading then.
Okay. Purport.
Yes.
Yes. Pure. It's for 10, verse 9.
Yes.
Pure devotees, whose characteristics are mentioned here, engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be delivered from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. Continue?
Just 1 second. So basically, we said this verse is describing Abhideya, or the activities, the process, the activities that devotees perform.
Mhm.
What are they doing 24 hours a day? They are engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. They are constantly thinking for Krishna. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna. So this is their lifestyle. This is what they do. Okay, you can go on.
Mhm. Okay. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection, which
Okay.
is exhibited. Mhm.
Sorry, so I have a question. Srila Prabhupada is referring to different stages of bhakti, of the process of bhakti in this purport. So can you identify which are these stages?
Okay, once situated.
Yeah, the previous sentence.
Oh, would that be the goal?
In the preliminary stage of devotional
In the
service,
prelim.
they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. So what is this preliminary stage of devotional service?
Preliminary stage.
What is Prabhupada referring to?
Preliminary stage.
Generally, we have different stages of practice in devotional service, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Beginners for advanced. Do you remember the names? We were studying them in the Nectar of Devotion class.
Oh, okay.
Mataji Pushpanjali missed that one.
Yes, I did. Oh, okay. In the preliminary stage.
So,
Sadhana Bhakti.
Sadhana. Okay. Sadhana bhakti.
So we have different levels of sadhana.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay, so there are two levels of sadhana bhakti. They're called Vaidhi, which means we follow the rules and regulations because we are obedient to the instructions of the Shastra and the Guru. And then Raganuga Bhakti, which means we still follow the same rules, but the motivation is not the sense of duty, but we have already spontaneous attraction to follow. It is natural. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is referring to first when he says the preliminary. Can you? No, okay.
Preliminary. Mhm.
In the preliminary stage of
Okay.
devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself.
And in the mature stage, they're actually situated in love of God. So the preliminary stage is we can say it's Vaidhi Bhakti, Vaidhi Sadhana. And the mature stage, we can say it starts from Raganuga Sadhana and goes all the way up to Prema. Okay?
Okay.
So very, very often when Srila Prabhupada just casually, it seems casually, he just, not casually, this is not the proper word. Prabhupada just very smoothly and very, in a very simple way, he explains things. Actually, he refers to very technical doctrines and terms, but he presents everything in a very easy way so that people from Kali Yuga, just like us, we can also understand. It doesn't mean that what he says is not deep. So a little later we will read the commentaries of the Acharyas and you will see how Srila Prabhupada manages in very simple language to present all the points, all the important points of all the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baladevi Bhushan. He managed to explain them in his purport.
In a very simple way.
In a very simple way. So simple that we may even miss it. Like for example, if we don't pay attention, we can miss that he refers to Sadhana Bhakti and he refers to Vaidhi Bhakti and to Raganuga Bhakti.
Also another practical thing we can get from the first sentence basically is that in the beginning of our spiritual life, maybe our relationship with Krishna is still not so deep. So we cannot relish it so much. But gradually we will become attached to a certain service that we are doing for Krishna, and we will enjoy this service, and we will get our nectar, our happiness in Krishna consciousness just by performing this service. And then gradually when we advance more and we develop our relationship with Krishna as a person, then our happiness will come from our love of God, from our direct personal relationship with God. So in the beginning, happiness comes from the devotional service. In a more advanced stage, it comes from our direct relationship with Krishna. And on this stage, for the devotee, is not so important what exactly he's doing for Krishna. He may be cooking for Krishna, he may be cleaning for Krishna, he can distribute books, he can do Harinam. It's important that it's for Krishna. If it's for Krishna, I don't care. I'm immediately ready to do it. Okay, sorry, Mataji, please continue.
That's okay. Okay, sure. Okay, Lord Chaitanya, once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection, which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe, and out of them, there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, That seed fructifies just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyoti, effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky, also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavana, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as a plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Chamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 19. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord. Just as a fish cannot live without water, in such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord.
Okay, just finish it.
Okay, the Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees, as stated in the Bhagavatam itself, 12.13.18. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in association. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so basically, Srila Prabhupada was describing how our advancement is in spiritual life. Bhakti, the process of bhakti is like a seed, and this seed should be watered with the two main activities in bhakti process, hearing and chanting. This is like the water. And then our bhakti lata, our plant of devotional service will grow, and then at some point it will reach the highest planet in the spiritual world, and it will take shelter in the lotus feet of Krishna, and it will give the fruits of love of God. So hearing and chanting is being described here as also part of the main practice of the devotees. And in the last part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada also is glorifying the power of associating with Srimad Bhagavatam as also a very important part of our spiritual practice. So basically, Srila Prabhupada said that devotees are fully engaged 24 hours a day in service to Krishna, and the main three activities were identified as hearing about Krishna, glorifying, chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So now Pandava will share the purports of the other acharyas from our sampradaya.
Okay, so Baladev Vidyabhushan explains the following. The devotees are absorbed in remembering me, Mat Chitta. They cannot maintain their lives without me. just as a fish cannot live without water. Srila Prabhupada used the same analogy, right? Madgata prana. They reveal to each other my form, qualities, and beauty. Bodhayanta parasparam. They speak about me, an ocean of affection for the devotee, and about my extremely variegated pastimes. In this way, by worship in the form of remembering, hearing, and chanting, they are satisfied to shanti, as if drinking nectar, and they enjoy or relish just as a young boy enjoys the smiling glances of a young girl. Same analogy by Prabhupada. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, their minds are greedy for my form, name, qualities, pastimes, and the taste of sweetness, mat-chitta. They are unable to maintain their life without me, Madgata Prana, just as men are completely dedicated to food, since they depend on food to live. So in the same way, we should be dependent on hearing about Krishna. They explain to each other with friendliness about the types of bhakti and the real nature of bhakti, bodhayanta. Thus, these bhaktas are satisfied and enjoy. Or the meaning of satisfaction and enjoyment, tushanti cha ramanti cha. So these are these two words, tushanti and ramanti, can be as follows. They are satisfied even at the stage of sadhana by continual performance of their worship brought about by good fortune, and they take pleasure of thinking of their future attainment of prema and enjoy with their Lord through the mind. This indicates Raganuga Bhakti. So Tushanti is sadhana, Ramanti is Raganuga. So this was the process of Bhakti. And then in the...
Just want to say something more about this verse. If you see the Sanskrit that now Pandava Prabhu was reading, the second part of the Sanskrit verse, Katayantas chamam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. So it is said that actually devotees, they don't just engage themselves in devotional service, but they experience this great happiness, tushanti, become pleased, and ramanti, enjoy transcendental bliss in the association with the devotees. They really enjoy to get together with other devotees, katayantas chamam nityam, and to speak about Krishna together with other devotees. So that's also very, very important part of the practice. Just get together with devotees and read about Krishna and speak about Krishna, share the nectar of Krishna consciousness and enjoy this nectar, relish it, and then become completely happy in the spiritual life, in Krishna consciousness. Also very, very important part of spiritual practice, spiritual life.
Because unless we learn how to enjoy topics about Krishna with the devotees, then we'll be lacking in our emotional life. We will not have enough bhava, and we will be naturally looking for this bhava somewhere else, and we'll have to search for material rasa, material taste. So it is very, very important to experience bhakti bhava, and this happens in the association of devotees. So we have to dynamically try to deepen our relationships with the devotees. That's the logical conclusion, right? Either we'll succeed in developing our relationship with the devotees, or
and enjoying this relationship,
and actually enjoying it, not just on the intellectual platform, not just as a matter of duty. Okay, now it's time to, I'm going to Bhagavatam class. Okay, I'm sitting here, listening. Okay, then next, okay, what's the next in the program? Next part of my sadhana. Not just like mechanically, but it's our responsibility to feel joy while practicing Krishna consciousness. We have to satisfy, our mind should be satisfied, not just the intellect. Okay, this is the proper thing to do. Yes, but your mind should also feel the spiritual rasa. Otherwise, it will go somewhere else. So don't be impersonal with the devotees. That's the conclusion. Don't just, whenever there is opportunity to share and to talk and to associate with devotees, grab this opportunity because this is our saving grace.
Sometimes we joke that we can practice Krishna consciousness despite the presence of the devotees around us. But no, rather we have to practice Krishna consciousness with association of the devotees around us. There is a big difference between these two. In both cases, devotees will be around, but how we are going to deal with them will make a big difference. Hare Krishna.
And then the next two verses, 10 and 11, Krishna describes the result of devotional service, or the goal. What is the goal? And the goal is that, the prayojana. The result is that he, Krishna, personally removes the darkness and ignorance from the devotee's heart. To those who are constantly devoted in serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So this is the result. Krishna reveals himself in the heart of the devotee. Then once Krishna is there, the devotee doesn't need anything more. Krishna is already there. In a sense, he's always there. But when we purify our consciousness through the process of bhakti, Krishna can actually contact us. We can actually hear what he says, and we can experience his association in our hearts, which is an amazing thing. And this is the goal of bhakti. The same is described in Bhagavatam, in first canto, where Krishna says that Nashta Preya Shabadrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Okay, and even before that, Shinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyanta Stohya Badrani Vidanoti Suhritsatam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So when we serve constantly, then Krishna reveals himself. This is the message of Chaturshloki, Bhagavad-gita. Okay? So, Tusiku, you want to read the purport?
Yes, we can read some part of these purports. Maybe now Mataji Jayarade can read.
Yes.
It's second paragraph from verse 10. When a person knows the goal.
When a person knows the goal of life, but is addicted to the fruits of the activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in jnana yoga. And when he knows that the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, which is the complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life.
Okay, let's just explain a little bit this. So, Srila Prabhupada is giving different terms, and sometimes he, by these different terms, he has in mind something different, and sometimes he's using them as synonyms. Like in many places, the words karma yoga, or especially karma yoga in Krishna consciousness, buddhi yoga and bhakti yoga more or less mean the same thing. The way how Srila Prabhupada is using them in Bhagavad-gita. However, now, especially here, he explains some technical difference between them. And what is the difference? When in all three, we can see that the goal is Krishna. All these different personalities, they accept, okay, Krishna is the ultimate goal. but still they, on the first two levels, they have some impurities in the heart or some attachments in the heart. Srila Prabhupada is saying, in the first case, they know the goal is Krishna, but they are very much attached to the fruitive result from their work. So they want to keep something for themselves. So basically, their consciousness is not completely purified. They don't think everything belongs to Krishna. That's why it should be used for Krishna. Rather, they think, well, yes, the goal is to completely surrender to Krishna, but actually now this is the result from my work. That's why I'll keep some and I'll give some to Krishna. So still there is some selfish motive. And in the case of the Jnana yogis, they know the goal is Krishna. They know that they can surrender completely, but still they want to get some subtle sense gratification by enjoying subtle mental speculation. So this is their attachment, their contamination. And then if someone is free from those ones, then he can act on the platform of pure devotional service. Like we have the definition of pure devotional service. We studied during our class of Nectar of Devotion. Ana bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishna nushilana bhakti ruttama. If the pure, if the devotional service is completely freed from material desires and freed from the influence of jnana and karma, jnana, karma, adi, anavritam, then this devotional service is known as pure devotional service. So basically, when the heart is completely purified from the tendencies of mental speculation and enjoying the result from our work, then we can act on the platform of pure devotion. Okay, Mataji, you can finish the purport.
A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engages himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devout to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him.
Haribo.
Jai.
This is our salvation.
So it doesn't matter how sharp you are. That's not qualification to advance in bhakti.
Krishna is merciful.
Whatever is lacking, Krishna will provide, and whatever we already have, Krishna will protect. Yoga kshema vahami. Even if we don't study very rigorously the books, Krishna will give us knowledge from within. This doesn't mean that we shouldn't study Srila Prabhupada's books, but even if somebody doesn't have this ability, he will still acquire full knowledge by Krishna's mercy.
Yes, I want to read again part of the end of the purport. I think it's very important. We can all take note of this. Srila Prabhupada is saying the qualification. So what is the qualification so that we get the mercy of Krishna? Qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. So qualification is that sincerely we are engaged in the process of Krishna consciousness. That's it. We may be intelligent, we may not be intelligent, we may be very sharp guys, we can be very
Dull,
active workers, we can be dull. It doesn't matter. If we sincerely engage in the activities of Krishna consciousness, this will bring the mercy of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada continues, he should perform some sort of work for Krishna. And that work should be with love. So just do something with love for Krishna. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, so in other words, we see something is wrong, we see something is wrong, but somehow we don't have enough intelligence to understand what exactly is wrong, what I have to change, what I have to improve. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, if a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, but he is active, he continues to follow the process, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. So Krishna will take care. Even if we on our own, we don't know what exactly we have to do, what exactly we have to improve in order to make spiritual progress. If we just continue in a humble manner to perform devotional service day after day, year after year, Krishna will arrange everything. He will give us knowledge, he will give us determination, he will give us enthusiasm, everything that we need so that we can complete the process of Krishna consciousness.
And this is very important because sometimes the devotees have this misunderstanding that we must be professional. We must be very expert in material field of activity in order to impress the karmis. So the karmis will be impressed. Why? How? Well, because they'll come to our program and they'll see how professional we are conducting the program, how good marketing we have, how, of course, all the things that we actually don't have very much, how good speakers we have, how expertly we present the topics, and people are not to be impressed by these things. First of all, we're not that good professionals in this material sense. We're just not so good. There are much better people out there, especially here in New York City, who are doing all these things on a very high level. So we can't really compete with them materially. What we can offer is the same thing that the devotees in the beginning of this ISKCON movement were offering, and they were very successful. And what is this? Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport. Always engage himself in Krishna consciousness with love and devotion. Srila Prabhupada, he said, purity is the force. This is the force, purity, not professional, not being professional. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to present our message in a nice, appealing, conducive, and appropriate way. But we should never make the mistake that this is actually what will ensure our success. It is not this. It is the purity of intention, the sincerity of our surrender to Krishna, and Krishna will reciprocate. Very important point. Okay, let's move on.
So Bhakta can read, just come closer. From the purport to text 11. Okay, I'll just first read a bit and then you'll continue. So we are in the middle of the first paragraph. Srila Prabhupada is saying, there are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. Do you follow me? You found a place? There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. Again, more or less the same point Srila Prabhupada is making, that even if we cannot make it, like we cannot take complete use from our spiritual master, from the great amount of literatures that we have, Krishna will not leave the devotee. Within his heart, he'll give him all the needed knowledge so that he can advance spiritually. And now Bhaktano can read the last paragraph from the purport.
The Maya body.
Due to contamination.
Due to the contamination of material association, through many, many millions of births, one heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna,
Right.
the dust quickly clears, and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal, Vishnu, can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by material speculation or argument.
Mental speculation.
Mental speculation and argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He needs to be anxious because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of the Bhagavad-gita. By studying Bhagavad-gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors.
Thank you very much. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining at the end of his purport that if the devotee completely surrenders, then he should not worry anymore about his material situation. If he's completely surrendered, Krishna will definitely take care of him. If he is completely surrendered, Krishna will arrange everything that he needs for his spiritual advancement and also for his material surviving. I'll just read it one more time. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He needs not be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad-gita. So what is the essence? By studying Bhagavad-gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. So that's why we are saying that this Bhagavad-gita as it is, the Bhagavad-gita of Srila Prabhupada has special power. Because we see by studying this Bhagavad-gita, so many people became devotees, so many people completely changed their lifestyle. And as Srila Prabhupada is saying in the beginning of his introduction, there are so many editions of Bhagavad-gita, but all these editions could not produce even one single devotee. Even one single person, as a result, reading all these editions of Bhagavad-gita, decided to change his lifestyle, to change his way of life.
And why is this a proof? Because the original disciple, we can say, of Bhagavad-gita, when he heard the message of Krishna, Arjuna, how did he react? What did he say? Arjuna said, Karisha Vachanam Tava, I will do
Whatever you say.
Nashtasmritir Maham Labda Mat Prasad Maya Chuta Gata Sandeha
Nashtosmi
Gata Sandeha Karisha Vachanam Tava. My illusion is gone, and by your mercy, and now I'm prepared to do whatever you say. So this is in Bhagavad Gita itself, and this is extremely important thing to understand. It's very simple concept, but as Prabhupada said, simple for the simple and complicated for the crooked. You see, the way Bhagavad Gita has to be understood and applied is presented unequivocally in Bhagavad Gita itself by the example of Arjuna. Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, and this is the proper way how Bhagavad Gita should be accepted. And as Tosi Prabhu mentioned, we don't find even a single example, or maybe there are some. We don't know, but maybe, but we don't know. There was no devotees prior to Srila Prabhupada's edition of Bhagavad Gita in the West. That means the goal of Bhagavad Gita as it is hasn't been achieved. And when Prabhupada presented the Gita, as it is, then the goal was achieved. There are thousands of people who became devotees. Even now, this Bhagavad Gita, even now, makes devotees, produces devotees. Why? Because it's the real thing. Okay. So, sorry, I interrupted you.
No.
You want to say something more?
So that was the point, that we see the power of Srila Prabhupada. He managed to present Bhagavad Gita in a very pure and transparent way, so that people very clearly understand what is the real goal of Bhagavad Gita, namely to surrender to Krishna. Before that, people were speculating, they were getting this knowledge out of Bhagavad Gita, that knowledge out of Bhagavad Gita. Oh, that's interesting concept. This is very nicely said. And then at the end, they go back home and they do the same things they were doing before that. So the real result from Bhagavad Gita is change of heart, transformation of the heart.
Yeah, Buddha Bhava Samandita. Knowledge leads to devotion. If it does not lead to devotion, it's not perfect knowledge. So
Do
then,
you have some questions, dear devotees, for these 4 verses, the Chatur Shloki, the essence of Bhagavad Gita?
okay, so then, now we'll hear a doubt. This is our doubt, but it has been presented by Arjuna. And the doubt is as follows. Arjuna says, without the functioning of knowledge and other such elements, intelligence, memory, etc., how can the devotees, how can they attain you? And how can they even strive for that goal? So this is the doubt. You say they don't require knowledge. But if they are completely deprived of knowledge, they cannot even strive to attain you. Knowledge is absolutely necessary. So then the Lord says, this is not at all necessary. Having the intention of giving them mercy by all means, even without them having to worry about attaining my mercy. So they don't even have to worry that how will attain Krishna. Don't worry, Krishna will give you his mercy. By all means, he says, because Krishna is looking for an excuse to give you mercy.
For the devotees.
For the devotees. And he'll do it even without an excuse. He'll just do it, like Mahaprabhu. Since I make the endeavor to give them mercy, Tesham eva evanukampar tam. Tesham evanukampar tam. I, being situated in the functioning of their intellects, Atma Bhavasta, by the lamp of knowledge, and this is knowledge arising from bhakti, which is beyond the gunas. This is not the sattvika knowledge, since bhakti alone can reveal me. This is not the knowledge of the material mode of goodness. This is the transcendental knowledge. I destroy the darkness born of ignorance in them alone, but not in others, like the yogis, for example. I alone do this, all in my own. Why should they strive for this purpose? I have already said that I carry the responsibility of their spiritual and material welfare. Yogakshema Vahamyaham. I accept the responsibility to supply all the material and spiritual requirements. So this is very strong statement by Krishna. Yes.
He said for everybody but the yogis.
That means just for the devotees.
So
not for the yogis, not for the gyanis, not for the karmis.
So how do the yogis get empowerment if it's not through Krishna?
They get it from Krishna, but their empowerment is not this type of empowerment. They just can get some mystic powers, or they can attain some type of liberation. But here Krishna explains that he personally comes in touch with the devotee, and he doesn't do this for the yogis. It's different type of empowerment.
Karmis, Gyanis, yogis, they depend on their power, their endeavors to make spiritual advancement. This is how they want to advance. Even if, like, Krishna comes and tell them, oh, let me help you, they will say, no, I'll manage on my own. because of the false ego, they don't want anybody to help them. They want to do it with their own endeavors.
Because later they'll have to share the credit and the results. They want everything for themselves.
So that's because of their false ego and because of their illusion. Now, devotees, because they don't have any illusion and they know actually everything is coming by the mercy of the Lord. So since the beginning, they know I will make my endeavor. I'll do that. But actually, I'm so small. With my small endeavor, I cannot really achieve this. So I'm dependent on the mercy of Krishna. That's why for them, these huge things that have to be achieved, actually, they are achieved very easily. Because Krishna just helps them. Whatever devotee does, Krishna do the rest. So for a devotee, the advancement is very fast and very easy. Whereas for all other practitioners, Krishna is saying in 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Bahunam janmanam ante. After many births, they can come to the same level. So for them, it will be much more difficult and it will take a very long time. Even if they are successful at the end, which may not happen also.
Liberation, right? That's the goal from yogis.
Yeah, liberation or mystic powers.
A yogi that attains liberation, they merge into Brahma Jyoti.
There are two
Right.
types of yogis. One is that they want to merge with the Brahma Jyoti, and the other one, they want to merge with the body of the Lord.
Huh.
And this second part, the second type of yogi, is even
That's
more repulsive.
That's
They're
Satchidananda, right?
What do you mean?
The Krishna's body is made of Satchidananda, and then the Brahma Jyoti is only Sat
Yeah.
no Ananda.
So the problem with the second, well, both of them they have problems, but the second type have bigger problem because the first type they may not even be aware that there is a Bhagavan, there is a person, and they just want to attain liberation. But the second type, they see the Lord in front of them or in their meditation, whatever. And instead of surrendering to him, they still want to merge with him. And therefore, the acharyas, our acharyas, explain that they are in a worse position.
Wait, so they see him during meditation?
Yeah.
So he's not giving himself. He just, for whatever reason, they see him during meditation.
This is their desire, and he reciprocates. Krishna reciprocates with desire of all living entities according to their degree of their piety, surrender. So he might reveal himself, but they're not devotees. And they don't want to serve him, they want to merge with him. So more abominable than the Kaivalya. The similar concept with the Naradama.
Do they merge into him?
Well, if Krishna allows, this can happen.
And is that what the Mayavadis want too? Because the Mayavadis want to become Krishna, right? So you could merge with him, but not become.
The Mayavadis don't attain any type of liberation because they are offenders. You cannot attain liberation if you offend the Lord. You can attain liberation even if you're jnani or impersonalist, but you have to have little bhakti. Some bhakti should be there, otherwise you don't attain anything. The karmis will not attain svarga, the jnanis will not attain liberation, the yogis will not attain mystic perfection if they don't have at least little bit bhakti in their practice. Only bhakti allows all these results to appear. So little bit bhakti should be there, and definitely shouldn't be offenders, because if they offend the Lord, they don't attain anything. This is Krishna already explained. Moga shamoga karma, moga jnana vichetta sakha rakshasim asurim cheva prakriti mohinim shritaha. So then the conclusion is that one can never understand Krishna by his own mental efforts, even if he goes on speculating for millions of years. Only by devotional service can one please the Lord. And when the Lord is pleased, he reveals himself in the heart of the pure devotee. So this is the conclusion of the Chaturshloki, Bhagavad-gita. And then in the next section, verses 12 to 18, Arjuna shows the example how Bhagavad-gita should be accepted. And then he makes a request. So first Arjuna shows the example. Arjuna says, Arjuna accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and declares that only Krishna can actually know his own position. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
These are verses 12 and 13, dear devotees.
the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Sita Devala, and Vyasa confirmed this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me." So this is the standard of understanding Bhagavad-gita.
I'll read few parts from the purport. So the first part is second part of the first paragraph. Now, by the grace, Arjuna is accepting him as the supreme truth in concordance with the Vedic injunctions. It is not that because Krishna is Arjuna's intimate friend, Arjuna is flattering him by calling him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. Whatever Arjuna says in these two verses is confirmed by Vedic truth. Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes to devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjuna is confirmed by Vedic injunction. And then at the end of the purport, the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada writes, here Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand Bhagavad-gita, we should accept the statements in these two verses. This is called the parampara system, acceptance of disciplic succession. Unless one is in a disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad-gita. It is not possible. But so-called academic it is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, despite so much evidence in the Vedic literature, those proud of their academic education stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person. So basically, in this verse, Krishna is declaring that, okay, Krishna, you are the Supreme Lord, you are the absolute truth, you are the absolute reality. But Srila Prabhupada is saying it's not that Krishna is just flattering his friend.
Arjuna.
Arjuna is flattering his friend. No, the Vedic scriptures are saying the same thing. The great sages are confirming the same truth about Krishna. And Krishna himself is saying the same thing about himself. So we have many serious proofs for the same thing. We cannot say, oh, Arjuna, he is biased. Just because Krishna is his friend, that's why he is saying he is the Supreme Lord. No, it's not like that. Vedas are saying it, Krishna himself is saying it, and all the great sages like Vyasadeva, Narada Muni, Sita, Devala, all these great personalities who has authority on a universal level, they say the same absolute truth about Krishna.
Okay. So there is one purport of Srila Prabhupada on Bhagavatam 2:27, and there he comments on this verse from Gita. So Prabhupada writes, Bhagavad-gita, as it was understood by Arjuna, is also explained, but there are many foolish men who do not follow the footsteps of Arjuna in understanding the spirit of Bhagavad-gita. They create instead their own interpretations, which are as foolish as they themselves, and thereby only help to put a stumbling block on the path of real understanding, misdirecting the innocent followers who are less intelligent, or the Shudras. So these people, so-called Indologists, scholars who foolishly claim that Krishna is an ordinary man, they take the position of Brahmanas. They study the Veda, but only the Brahmanas, only the higher castes, only they are qualified to study the Veda. So here Srila Prabhupada will explain what happens when Shudras or Chandalas, they study the Vedas. So-called study the Vedas. In other words, people who are not qualified to study, and let alone to study, to speak on the Vedas. So it is said that one should become a Brahmana before one can understand the Vedic statements. And this structure is as important as the structure that no one shall become a lawyer who has not qualified himself as a graduate. Such a structure is not an impediment in the path of progress for anyone and everyone. So it is not the oppressive caste system. We don't speak about this. Srila Prabhupada dismisses this charge. No, it is not like this. So what is it? But it is necessary for an unqualified, for understanding of a particular science. Vedic knowledge is misinterpreted by those who are not qualified Brahmanas. So this is the core. So those who are not qualified Brahmanas, they misrepresent the Vedas and they mislead the general populace, the innocent people. And this is the result of this so-called scholarship. The Indologists, we should know this. I mean, this is documented, this is known. The first Indologists who came to India to study Sanskrit and to study the Vedas, they were Christians. And their goal, very clearly articulated by themselves in their own writings, their goal from the very onset of their scholarship, Indian Vedic scholarship, was to debunk the Vedas, to present the Vedas as fairy tales written by intoxicated barbarians. And they were not shy to share this in their own writings. So this was part of the British idea and goal to conquer over India and to exploit India. And they understood that they couldn't do that unless they cut the root of the Indian culture, which is the Vedas. So this guy, Max Muller, he was paid by the British government to translate the Vedas in a very derogatory way. And he did. And he's a Christian. He's a devout Christian. He wanted to establish the superiority of Christianity, the high culture of Christianity, over the backwards and barbarian so-called culture of India. So this is how Indology began. And then there were second wave of Indologists who are not even Christians, but they are secularists, they are materialists. So they wanted to do the same thing, just that they didn't have the Christian agenda. They had materialistic agenda. So this is the second wave Indologists. So about these people, Srila Prabhupada explains that they are not qualified to present the Vedas, because they purposefully misrepresent the Vedas. They have not followed the proper procedure, the proper path. They didn't take a guru. They didn't have faith in Shastra. They didn't serve the guru. They just poke their nose in the Vedas because they think they're very sharp and they can study anything and everything. But by definition, they're not qualified even to touch the Vedas, let alone study them, let alone speak on the Vedas. You know, they're unqualified. So therefore, we should not listen to them. And actually, in fact, we are forbidden to listen. What was the verse? Smart
Avaishnava Kodgirnam Puta Harikatamritam
Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam.
Sarpo Chishta Yatampaya. One should not listen the Vedic knowledge from people who are not devotees. Yeah, so that's why basically we are saying that if someone is not a devotee, if someone does not accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is not qualified to understand it, to present the Vedic knowledge.
Okay, so
he will misuse it.
Yes, he will misuse it, and he will mislead others. So Manu says that if you have wrong philosophy, you will just get the reactions for this wrong philosophy. But if you have wrong philosophy and preach this philosophy, then you'll get 100 times the reaction because you mislead the innocent people.
It's a good thing that Sadhguru hasn't read the Bhagavad-gita yet.
Well, he hasn't, but he still misrepresents Bhagavad-gita. He manages to do that. Even. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada writes, a qualified Brahmana is one who has undergone strict training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Then he can speak on the Vedas. These guys, they're not qualified. Okay, so this was short detour, but I think it's important.
Now in the next verse, it's actually Arjuna is establishing what is the right way to
Yes.
accept
What is the
Bhagavad-gita.
standard? Arjuna says, "So Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, Deva Deva, God of gods, Lord of the universe." So, Arjuna's full acceptance establishes the proper standard for all who want to understand the Bhagavad Gita. Everybody should therefore follow the example of Arjuna, and any deviation from the mood of Arjuna will lead to confusion. So, one cannot understand Krishna by whimsical acceptance and rejection of his teachings. This is what people like to do. They like materialistic people. They like to use Bhagavad Gita to promote their own speculations, because Gita is a very famous text. And Prabhupada was protesting against it. Prabhupada was saying sometimes,
why you're using Bhagavad Gita?
I mean,
Just write your own book.
write your own book, present it. Why you put in Krishna's mouth your own stupid speculations? It is not. This is not what a gentleman will do. And then in Renunciation Through Wisdom, Srila Prabhupada writes, such logic is described as the logic of a hen. This is the logic when you take something from Krishna's instructions and then you reject the other parts. I like this, I don't like this, cherry picking. And then you think you're so clever that you create your own philosophy. I'll go to the Zen masters, I'll pick up what I like, then I'll go to the Sufis, I'll take the essence, I'll go to the Christian mystics, then I'll go to Bhagavad Gita, and then I'll make my own.
Perfect philosophy.
There's Christian mystics?
Yeah.
A lot of them, yeah.
Really?
So
In the West, or where are they?
in Western Europe, yeah.
Western Europe. Oh.
The medieval scholastics, many of them. Meister Eckhart, for example.
Does it overlap with like the yogis, like the mystic yogis?
Yeah, some similarities here. So Srila Prabhupada says, such logic is described as the logic of half a hen, by which a fool wishes to profit from the egg-laying half of the hen without having to feed the front half. Those who have been blessed by the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord can easily see through this foolish concept and abstain from futile, time-wasting debates. Okay? Time-wasting debates. Don't debate with such people. It's a waste of time. They're not qualified to understand. There are so many innocent people around who will benefit from association with devotees, and better put endeavor there when the paramedics come to the scene, when there are so many injured people, some are dying, let's say in the battlefield, and then the first thing they do, they scan around and they see who has a best chance to survive. This is where they put their endeavor. So we have limited manpower. I mean, we as preachers, we have limited time, so we cannot just waste time with people who are just useless. They're not useless, they're spirit souls, but right now in this moment of their spiritual elevation, they're just hopeless cases. So we should put our energy, we should endeavor to help those people who stand a chance. So this is our job. Okay.
Dear devotees, did you get this example with the hen?
Did you? What is a hen?
A hen?
Mhm. Chicken.
Is a chicken.
Okay.
Chicken.
Do you understand the example?
Hmm,
Yes or no?
not completely. I'm just thinking if it's half, it's not all. We're
Okay.
only getting a part of it, not the whole.
Well, the idea is very simple. Like you have a farmer and he's taking care for chickens. And the story Srila Prabhupada is saying is that the farmer is saying, wait a minute, the back half of the chicken is giving me eggs, but the front half is eating. So let me cut off the front half, and in this way I will save the food, but I will get the eggs. But then if you don't have the front half, you won't have the second one as well. So
Oh, yeah.
Srila Prabhupada is giving this example as the logic that these people have. They don't act as Arjuna. Arjuna is saying sarvam etam ritan manye. I accept everything. Sarvam. The first word from verse 14. Sarvam. I accept everything that you said, Krishna, as truth. But these people, they don't have this idea. They say, no, some of the things you said, Krishna, I accept them as truth, but not everything. I will decide which one is truth and which one is not truth. Like this farmer, he's saying, I'll decide which part of the chicken to take care of and which part not. No, it doesn't work like that.
Mm.
You won't get the benefit if you don't accept the whole.
Okay.
So that is the idea. If we want to
Mm.
benefit from the knowledge of Bhagavad-gita, we have to accept everything that Krishna is saying. We have to take the whole treatment,
Mm,
not just
okay.
choose one part and then remove the other part. It won't work then. The treatment won't.
Mm,
That's the idea.
okay. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, and now Arjuna has a request. He requests Krishna to describe his opulence so that he can always remember him. We remember that Krishna already explained several times in chapter 7, and then in chapter 9, and in chapter 10, in this chapter also. He explained that everything emanates from him, that he is all-pervading, and at the same time he is aloof. So now Arjuna, he accepted this, he accepts this fully, but he requests Krishna, can you explain a little bit more in detail? How are you all-pervading? What do you mean by this? I understand, I mean, I accept this. It must be true, but how is it true? So this is important mode, an important way. How do we ask questions? This is the proper way. We should have the same mood as Arjuna. I accept that whatever Veda say is true. I just don't understand how. Please, could you please explain to me how is this true? And the opposite way, the opposite mood is well, this is called doubt, and but there is also misgiving. Misgiving means I understand very well that 2 + 2 is 4. I just don't want it to be 4. So this is different, and then it's difficult to deal with misgivings because there is internal, very deep contamination that you don't want necessarily to get rid of it so easily. So therefore, when we ask questions, we should screen ourselves. What is the origin of this question? Is it simply a doubt, or it is actually deeper misgiving? And also, when people ask questions, we should also be able to see, I mean, at least to be aware of this. What is the origin of this question? Is it simply the person is innocent and he
doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand, or he has some deeper issues, and in this case, we might not want to address the question actually, or we might want to address the question in a specific way, so that we don't waste time. Okay, so
Now these are verses 16 to 18.
Mm.
Arjuna is saying, I'll read them. Verse 16. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. So in verse 8, Krishna said, I am the source of all worlds. I am the source of all opulences. Yes? And now Arjuna, as Pandava Prabhu said, Arjuna is saying, okay, but can you describe in details how you are that? Okay, I accept that you are that, but can you give me more details how exactly works the whole
So that I can,
process?
so that Krishna, so that Arjuna can think of Krishna all the time.
Always.
Mhm.
So that basically he's able to see him in the
In the creation.
material world
Yes.
while he's living in the material world. Verse 17. O Krishna, supreme mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O supreme personality of Godhead? Text 18. O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I'm never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words.
Okay. So in verses 647, 8, 7, and 9:34, Krishna already recommended that one should always think of him, right? Krishna already said that. Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto. Recently he said this in the last verse of chapter 9. And before that also. However, as Srila Prabhupada explains, the common man who has no love for Krishna cannot always think of Krishna. You can think about somebody if you love this person. Otherwise, how are you going to think? Always. You can think from time to time. Therefore, such a materialistic person, he has to think materially. So Arjuna is considering the mode of thinking of the materialistic persons of this world. And then the words Keshu, Keshu, cha Bhaveshu refer to material nature. Because materialists cannot understand Krishna spiritually, they are advised to concentrate the mind on physical phenomena and try to see how Krishna is manifested by physical representations. So this is the reason behind this request. Arjuna doesn't need this himself, but he wants to benefit us. So therefore he asks, how are you present everywhere?
How the common people can,
Yes.
by living in the material world, by seeing material objects, these material objects can remember them of Krishna, and they can remember Krishna. That is the idea behind the
To remind them.
request,
Yes.
the question of Arjuna.
And in his commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes another reason for Arjuna's request. Arjuna says, O Janardana, in people such as me, by the sweetness of your beneficial instructions, you create longing, you make us agitated, and you make us beg. What can we do? For me, hearing nectar in the form of your instructions, relishing through the tongue in the form of my ear, there is no satiation. So Arjuna also wants to just to hear from Krishna, because whatever Krishna says for him is nectar. It's even higher reason why he asked questions. And now we have 10 minutes, so we won't be able to go through the whole thing. These are
We can just read
22 verses.
No problem.
But
Now,
these are the
from this point to the end of the chapter, we'll just read the verses. These are the different representations of Krishna, very powerful, very special representations of Krishna in the material creation that are helping us to constantly remember him. So we'll just read the verses, dear devotees. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Each one may read 5 verses. So let's start with Mataji Pushpanjali.
Hare Krishna.
Which chapter? I'm sorry, I'm
Yes.
joining late. I apologize for that, first of all.
No problem.
Dandavat Pranam.
Next time,
What
whoever is late, there is punishment. Now you have to bring sweets for all the devotees. Okay?
Hare Krishna. I live with Mahaksha Prabhu. He can make some. I'll take it.
You can make
Very
them,
good.
you can bring them, we'll eat them. No problem.
What is the chapter and what is the what we reading? So I can.
Chapter 10. Now we are on the verse 20.
Okay, so from here you are. Okay, thank you.
Krishna start describing. In verse 19, Krishna is saying, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna. For my opulence is limitless. There are so many manifestations of Krishna, he cannot describe all of them, but he will just describe some of the main ones. So now we will start reading from verse 20, only the verses. Mataji Pushpanjali can read.
Okay.
And if you have some question about some of the manifestations, you can ask and we can discuss.
Okay. All right. Text 20. I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Maruts,
Yes.
Maruts are
Marut.
demigods, and the main
Okay.
of demigods is Marichi. These are different winds. Adityas are also demigods, 12 Adityas, and the main of those Adityas is Vishnu.
Vishnu. Okay. All right. Text 22. Of the Vedas, I am the Sama Veda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Siva. Of the Yaksas and Raksasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. And of the mountains, I am Meru.
Okay, so just a second. The Rudras are also demigods, and the main of those demigods is Shiva. They are meant to destroy the universe at the end. And Yakshas and Rakshasas are other living entities in the universe, and the main of them is Kuvera. He is taking care for the wealth of the demigods. He is keeping this wealth. The Vasus are also demigods, and the main of those demigods is Agni, the god fire. And in the universe, there are many mountains, but in the middle of the creation, there is a huge golden mountain, which is called Meru. So because it's a very special mountain, that's why Krishna is saying it represents his opulence.
Wow. Okay. Text 24. Of priest, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief. Brahaspati.
Brihaspati.
One more time.
Brihaspati.
Brihaspati.
This is the guru of the demigods.
Okay. Of generals, I am Kartikeya. And of bodies of water, I am the ocean. 25. Of the great sages, I am Brigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Wow.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Yes, thank you.
Now Mataji Jaya Radha can continue. If she can hear me.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Of all the trees, I am the banyan tree, and of the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha, and among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. Text 27. Of horses know me to be
Ishrava.
Produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of Lord's elephants, I am Arvata, and
Airavata. Airavata.
Arvata, and among men I am the monarch.
Okay, just a second. So these two entities, this elephant and this horse, when the demigods and the demons were churning the milk ocean, and many special things appeared from this churning. And these were two of the things that appeared, and they were very, very special. And immediately different personalities took possession of them. Airavata is the carrier of the Indra, the king of heaven, and Uchaishrava was this special horse was taken from the demons. They took possession of this
Bali.
horse. Bali Maharaj took it. And of course, among the men, the greatest is the king. So he's representative of Krishna. Okay, Mataji.
Text 28. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the Sarabi. Of causes for procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love, and of the serpents, I am Vasuki.
Yes, Vasuki. So of the weapons, thunderbolt, this is the special weapon of Indra. It's one of the very, very, very great weapons in the universe. That's why represents Krishna. And we know the Surabi cows are the greatest cows of all. And out of the different causes for procreation, Krishna is saying that the god of love, Kamadev, is representing Krishna. And Vasuki is a great, huge serpent. It was used for the churning of the milk ocean like a rope. So it's one of the greatest powerful snakes in the universe. That's why it represents also Krishna.
Text 29. Of the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta, and among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama, and among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the Lord of Death.
Thank you. Just to mention something here. So in the verse it is said of the departed ancestors, in Sanskrit the word is Pitri. I am the Aryama, the main one. In the old edition of Bhagavad-gita, the person who was writing the text, actually, when he was hearing the tapes, transcribing, when he was hearing the tapes of Srila Prabhupada, he did not hear from the Pitris, I am Aryama. He heard from the trees, I am Aryama. That's why in the verse, in the old Bhagavad Gita, you could read, there is also a planet net of the, not of the Pitas, but of the trees. And from those, Aryama is the head, the main one, and he's representing Krishna. So that was not mistake of Srila Prabhupada, that was mistake of the transcriber. And later the devotees, they went back to the originals and they found that actually this mistake, because it doesn't make sense. Aryama is known to be the head of the Pitris, not of the trees. So just for your information, I'm saying.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, one more verse.
Yeah. Among text 30, among the Datya demons, I am the devoted Prahlad. Among the Subudurs, I am time. Among beasts, I am the lion. And among birds, I am Garuda.
Thank you. So among the demons, Prahlad, because not that Prahlad is demon, but he is born in a demoniac dynasty. That's why Krishna is saying, from the demoniac family, I'm actually the devoted Prahlad. Okay, Bhagavan Hari Prabhu, can you read further? Text 31.
Yes, Prabhuji. There might be a little bit, I don't know, wording change a little bit because I don't have the book. I'm reading from the, uh, online. But looks like similar. So chapter 10, verse 31.
Yes.
Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of the wilder of weapons, I am Rama. Of fishes, I am the shark. And of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges.
So these
Verse
are all
32.
representatives of Krishna.
Yeah. Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle. O Arjuna, of all signs, I am the spiritual signs of the self, and among logicians, I am the conclusive truth. Verse 33. Of letters, I am the letter A, and among compounds, I am the dual word. I am also inexhaustible time, and of creators, I am Brahma, whose manifold faces turn everywhere. Verse 34. I am all devouring death, and I am the generator of all things yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, speech, memory, intelligence, faithfulness, and passions.
Steadfastness and passion.
Oh, okay. That's what there is little change there. They said faithfulness. Okay. Verses 35. Of hymens, I am the Brihat Sama, sung to the Lord Indra, and of poetry, I am the
Prabhu, can you read again this verse?
okay. Of hymens,
Hymns.
I am the hymns. Okay. I am the Brihat Shama, sung to the Lord Indra, and the poetry, I am the Gayatri verse, sung daily by Brahmanas. Of months, I am November and December, and of seasons, I am the flower-bearing spring.
Thank you very much. Where are you reading from? It's just curious.
Oh, okay. Actually, I was trying to find out Bhagavad-gita as it is from the online. I don't have Bhagavad-gita with me. I came in Queens.
Okay. No, it's okay.
I apologize.
Just it's a little bit different. That's why I was.
Yeah, that's why I told earlier because I was listening. Mataji was reading is a little bit changed, so that's why I told in the beginning.
No problem. Okay, Bhakta, no, he can finish verses 36.
Thank you.
To the end of the chapter.
Mhm.
I'm also the gambling of cheats, and of splendid I am the splendor. I am the victory. I am adventure. I am the strength of the strong. Of the descendants of Rishini, I am Vasudev, and of the Pandavas I am Arjuna. Of the sages I am Vyasa, and among the great thinkers I am Usana.
Ushana is Shukracharya. This is the guru of the demons. He is also exceptionally learned personality, and that's why he represents Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport.
So if the demons have acharyas, do they have like a parampara, like demon worship or something?
Yes, they follow the Vedic scriptures, and that's why sometimes they become very powerful. But the problem is they don't follow the Vedic scriptures to satisfy Krishna. They follow the Vedic scriptures to become powerful so that they can oppose the demigods, the order in the universe, and take over the universe. So they use the order of Krishna, but against Krishna. That's why they are demoniac. That's the problem. Okay.
Among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment, and of those who seek victory, I am morality. Of the secret things, I am silence, and of the wise, I am the wisdom. Furthermore, Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me. Almighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe.
Thank you very much. So I'll just read one more time the last two verses. Krishna is saying, know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but the spark of my splendor. So when we see something amazing, something very attractive, something very opulent, whatever it is, we should know this thing is so attractive because Krishna, in one way or the other, put his special Shakti, special energy in this object, and that's why this object is so attractive. This is the reason. So whatever nice we see in this world, whatever is attracting us, we should always bring it back to Krishna consciousness by thinking, okay, this thing is so attractive because the Shakti of Krishna is inside, and that's why it is attracting me. And in this way, we can stay Krishna conscious. And then in the last verse, Krishna is saying, what is the need of all this detailed knowledge, Arjuna? Why you are asking me to give you all details? Just what one small fraction of my splendor, my power, I pervade and I support the entire universe. So just a small fraction of his power, Krishna is maintaining the whole universe. This is the amazing opulence, amazing potency of the Lord. But just if we think about these statements of Krishna, it will help us to understand how great is Krishna, how amazing is Krishna. And this should inspire our devotion to him. Okay, dear devotees, do you have some question for the last 20 verses?
No questions. 10 minutes beyond time.
Okay, if you don't have questions, so please for the next...
Do you have recording? Do you have recording for whole classes, right?
Yes, yes.
Is it somehow I can have it if I send you email or something?
The class will be after 1 hour. The class will be in the YouTube channel of the temple. ISKCON NYC.
Oh, okay, I will find it.
You can-
Unless I will reach to you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Dear devotees, for the next time, please read 11th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. 11th chapter, there are a few philosophical moments, but not many. So I guess we will go quite fast through it. There will be lots of reading there. Is the most of the chapter is description of the universal form of Shri Krishna. So please go through this chapter.
And I have one more question, Prabhuji,
Yes.
before you that. So we are starting the essays. You already sent the essay.
Yes.
If I have to go scroll up, maybe I'll find it in the channel, right?
Yes. If you go in our WhatsApp group, you will find from which essays to choose. And if you have some questions, you can write me privately and we can discuss about specific essay.
Thank you. And verses?
You have time, you have more than a month to work on your essay, so it's quite a time.
Okay. Thank you.
And the verses they're given in your textbook also.
Textbook. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll start learning from there.
If you have problem to find them, please also write to me. Also with
Thank
this.
you.
Thank you very
Prabhuji.
much, dear devotees.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Shri Prabhupada Jai.
Ki